Must-win situation for Anish Giri with the black pieces. And first, we're just going to hear from Magnus what he said after winning Game 3.
At least no one can claim that you're not creating entertainment in your games today, Magnus.
No, this was good. I think he made a pretty serious misjudgment at some point when he decided to give up the second bishop. I feel like as long as there's nothing concrete for him in terms of attack, I'm just better positionally. And maybe there was something, but he couldn't quite find it, and then it fell apart surprisingly quickly.
And is this also a result of you having such a wide array of opening repertoires?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but he was also out for a fight when I decided to play something fighting. He tried to play for a win as well, so that was fair enough. But I think, yeah, as I said, position was pretty normal. I think quite fine for me, but then he just misjudged the position.
Draw with a white would secure the match. Does that mean that we're going to see something a little more sane in this last fourth game?
We'll see.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, a draw is enough for Magnus in this game. Are we seeing something sane?
Something sane, but not drawish. Magnus definitely keeping the game alive, all the pieces still on the board. It's really nice to see. A lot of the top players, when they just need a draw with white, they're quite cynical. I've been the same myself in the past. Just if you need a draw, just swap off all the pieces, get all the risk out of the position. But Magnus, okay, first trade of the position, he's just playing chess. And what do you guys think of the opening here?
Yeah, I also think Anish has played a line which he has to play. Normally when you fianchetto early on, it means you're in fighting mode and you're trying to win as black, I say. Like the King's Indian Defence, the Perk, these kind of openings. And Anish has done that. And I always prefer white's position in these type of structures because it feels like black's pawn over on the king side has gone a little bit too far. And there's a lot of holes around that area the white piece can come into. But you need to win. You've got the two bishops. That's a good start. And you've got a lot of pieces on the board. So I think Anish has picked a line which he must have played here. So it's interesting.
You're right. Just the knight for bishop trade early on that happened on this square a few moments ago, and the kind of double pawns here. Just it's enough imbalance to give some hope long term. And Simon, I know you released a chessable course recently on an opening called the Hippopotamus Defence, and Anish is trying to adopt a similar setup, right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's released today actually. I just did the videos for it of this very interesting book, The Hippo, and this is very similar to the Hippo setup. Generally, black's pawn is one square back for a while. I know you play it sometimes in Blitz, David, occasionally. Too much Blitz.
And it's a really flexible and kind of fun opening to play. It just keeps the game alive. So who knows which side black's king's going to castle? Probably queen side. Where's the white king going to castle? It's quite a lot of decisions to make here. Yeah, and the reason I like this type of hippo setup, it's just so flexible. The position, if it opens up, will favour the black bishops, and any attempt to open up one side of the board is just met by a block. For example, if white pushes here now, it will just be blocked up. And okay, instead, Magnus decides to just push his queen forward. I'm guessing black is going to do the same. Black will move his queen to this square, and you're right, Simon, it's just a guessing game. Here we go. Black is just wallowing in his first couple of ranks, right? Just sitting, waiting. And is white going to be brave enough to castle this side? Is black going to be brave enough to castle this side? Plans are so complex. It's a bit of a guessing game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so tense. I mean, I use this word a lot, but we've seen so many games that have been very, very just tense is the right word, nervy. And here, I mean, white has a lot of space, actually. Black, on the other hand, is quite cramped. And I love what Magnus has done, actually. Look at him. He's been a real maximalist, just taking extra space in the centre and, again, saying, what are you going to do about your light square bishop, which is bad. And you cannot even resolve the tension that is there in the middle of the board because then you give squares to the white knight. Yeah. That's a killer blow there.
I have to say, Ivanka, I mean, like, just talking about that knight, you've mentioned when I've had this kind of setup as white, I'm never really sure where to put my pieces. And I really like this idea that Magnus started knight c4 to e3. Certainly something I'll remember for the future, because the knight on e3 does seem like an ideal square because black's pushed his kingside pawn a bit too far. So I'm going to remember that idea for the future.
Yeah.
Get the knight to that square. Very nice square for the knight.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Actually, this is one that English Grandmaster Mark Hebden taught me when I was, I don't know, 10 years old. He said, if your opponent goes for this early trade, pushing the pawn forward, this is the ideal setup for white. Put your knight on this square, your knight on this square, bishop and queen on this square. And this is actually quite a well-known motif. And look at Magnus's time. He's barely paused for thought. The reason this is so clever is, as you mentioned, the knights are flexible, but also this kind of diagonal is so important for white. Black, if he could, would love to castle on this side of the board, but he never can because now a pawn would drop. And this is why you kind of leave your queen and bishop on this diagonal, eyeing up this pawn. You're just tying down black's rook. And yeah, in the current position, this one, if black's king can't castle this side, definitely doesn't want to castle on the other side. White has a semi-open file here. Then what is Anish actually doing? He's just completely stuck. And yeah, as long as you keep this battery, black can barely make a move. At some point, we'll see white push this pawn forward, go even more maximalist. Often in these types of positions, white can castle this side if he needs to, but one other plan that I've seen is to kind of put the king on this square. Just kind of leave your rooks in the corner, because white's rooks are actually great on these two lines. So yeah, looks promising for white.
I love your king run. I was actually thinking that black could try and do the same, but then I was like, no.
Maybe you should.
Maybe you can, yeah. Got to put it somewhere, I guess. So
Yeah.
I had a similar thing against Ivanchuk in a like online tournament, and he just castled kingside in the end. So, but you don't want to play that. But I love how just remembering one little simple thing, like you said there, David, the great Mark Hedman told you about this setup, can just cure a whole opening. Basically, if you know where to put your pieces, like queen there, knight there, bishop there, you're done.
Yeah.
And actually, that's all you need to remember to get a good position. I love little bits of advice like that, because you don't have to memorise things. You just need to know that these pieces are doing the good job and why they're doing that good job, and you can play the opening probably for the rest of your life quite well then. Yeah. So, or certain variations. So that's a really nice bit of advice there, yeah, that setup.
I mean, at the very least, you can play your first, 16, 17 moves on autopilot. Like Magnus, he's barely paused for thought until this moment. You gain a big time advantage on your opponents. You're more familiar with the plans than your opponents. Yeah, these real nuggets of information, they do exist in different systems, in different opening systems, when it's not necessarily about calculation, when it's just about piece placement. And I think that's why I'm attracted to those types of early middle game position. Just all about planning, knowing where the pieces belong, and then you work out the order. You go from there. And Magnus, look at the computer, the evaluation bar. It's already all up in his favour. There's no big breakthrough. There's no immediate win. But just because he's put his pieces on good squares, more harmonious squares than black, he has a big advantage already.
Yeah.
So what is Anish sort of thinking and feeling sitting here? He knows he needs to win this game. He knows he's playing world #1, and obviously he's seeing the board. Is he getting stressed that he's going to lose this match?
I think he's maybe not even thinking about losing. I mean, I think he's just in survival mode. He recognises that his position is bad because there's just no clear thing what to do with the king, and you kind of lose that kind of thing that you have to win. When you're in that kind of mode, you're just, okay, just survive. I'm just going to make a move and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
And then what happens, what happens. I mean, it does look like in this position that Anish has perhaps got some pressure on the pawn in the middle of the board. But actually, when you kind of look deeper, you see that actually he can't even take that pawn.
Yeah, so for example, if white just waits, we mentioned this king maneuver. I'm not sure it's the best move, but yeah, your point, Ivanka. This capture only allows white to jump forward, and this is deadly, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. If the queen moves, then you create a discover check, and I think you're going to kind of create a huge attack against this black king. There are other tempting moves for Magnus. You can bring your knight forward. You can even castle right now. I'm not sure which side, this side or this side, both are tempting. As you mentioned there, Anish is basically like a boxer who's just been hit and he's just trying to dance around and try to avoid another knockout in this game. If he can keep the game alive, if he can keep the match going, for example, if the white king moves, if black decides, okay, maybe you can castle this side, as long as he can survive, keep pieces on the board, keep the two bishops there for as long as possible, then he might have chances 20 moves down the line or 30 moves down the line. But right now, it's bad news for black. And I'm not sure what I'd play here, to be honest. I'd be looking in Magnus's shoes as at the most direct moves first. For example, bring this knight to attack this pawn. as Jovanka always mentions, and that I've learnt from you, each move has a consequence, and black's knight does not protect this pawn anymore. So this would be very tempting. If not, then just castle the king, or move it.
Yeah, I mean, you could also go for your pawn pushers as well.
Yeah.
Start throwing them. There's so many tempting moves but to play here. Just putting black off castling kingside there.
Yeah, now you definitely don't want to castle into the eye of the storm.
Whoa. You bit too much there. So
Capture. And
you'd have to be a brave man to do that. So,
there's brave and there's foolish, and that one would be...
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between
more foolish than brave, probably.
Yeah,
here.
it's certainly
and you called it, Simon. It's the Dutch player in you. You just want to push your f-pawn.
I love pushing the f-pawn on Freddie up the board. And I also like the idea of pushing the e-pawn. You know, at some point, I want to just kill black, basically.
Blow it open.
Yeah, because, you know, the black king's in the middle. I know my king's in the middle, but my pieces are better placed because of this lovely positioning of the knight that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, like, that push at some point could be scary.
Yeah, this looks very scary at some point if you can achieve it. I'm not really sure what Anish's plan is with this queen move. I guess his whole idea is to capture this pawn without running into a knight jump. But wow, Magnus, I mean, the safer option would probably be castling this flank, castling this side of the board, but he chooses to castle the other way. And I mean, he's not scared. The white king, black needs 10 moves to attack it. In the meantime, he's going to go for what you mentioned there, Simon. He's going to try and explode things.
Yeah.
Either this way or just by trading a set of pawns, opening up a line for his rook. And still, black has this dilemma. He wants to castle this side, but he can never do that because of this queen and bishop battery. Black would simply lose a pawn.
What can he do?
Well.
Where can he put his king? What move can he play even? You know, I mean, you need to find a move as black, and finding any move is really difficult actually here, because you can't castle. Moving your rooks is pointless. You can't move.
Yeah, you can't even
can't
curl
move.
up into a ball and just go, come get me. I'm waiting for you to attack me. Here, every single move just has something negative in its favour. And
you capture this pawn in the centre, it's still the same problem like this, right? The knight attacks the bishop, I don't know what you do with it. You move, then bang, check, and game over very shortly. I mean, this setup, I think we all got to memorise it in this opening, in the Torre. They call this the Torre attack, this opening variation, but this setup for white, it's just kind of...
Very nice, very strong setup. Yeah.
It's the dream square for your pieces.
that's beautiful, isn't it? And it also makes a nice...
Little box.
It does, yeah.
Centralization, it's the key, right? We talk about it at lower levels, but here it's working at the top level. White has centralized his pieces and therefore has a decisive advantage.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, it's getting dramatic for Anish Giri. Must-win situation here in Game 4. And actually, what a start to the FTX Crypto Cup, because all the matches that are now playing Game 4s, there's must-win situations for Furusha and for Lee Emle to take it to tiebreaks. Anish Giri fighting for his life in this first round against Magnus Carlsen, and a bunch of moves.
A bunch of moves, yeah.
I was going to say he has to use his magic wand here, and maybe he has with that move, pushing on the queen side, trying to break open that area of the board.
Yeah, he's waved that wand, but yeah, will he be rewarded? Because black, despite pushing this pawn, he still needs several tempi to break through to that white king. I mean, even if white doesn't touch anything on this queen side, on this left side, what is black actually doing?
Yeah.
It's not 100% clear.
But I mean, even I was just thinking...
This.
Yeah, I was even thinking, you know, you're completely right. You know, that's not really clear what black is doing, sorry. But white can even get greedy and just kind of go, well, you know, it's just a rook that's coming at my king. That's not that scary, especially when you look at this beautiful construction of pieces that are ready to defend the white king. So
just greed is good.
Greed is good.
Yep.
Take this pawn. Magnus hasn't taken that one, but here, for example, you could just give a check. The black king moves, and you're right. You could, at the very least, just park your king on this square, put a knight on this square. You'll never get checkmated. Yep. But Magnus,
he wants to checkmate instead. He wants to finish it off.
He wants to see us do that dance.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Do you think he's going to power through now, Simon, or is he going to get greedy?
I think he'll just go e5 and checkmate. I mean, like, look at the black king. White's pieces are now ready. I mean, I'm not even calculating that move. I'm just like, you know, it's just such a natural move to play. Check with the bishop, clear the lines open, and kill. It's probably, like, you know, as simple as that. But
you're right. This check is the killer one. You give up a pawn, but like you said, Magnus won't even calculate this one. He'll just see that, okay, he's given up a pawn. He'll check the black king. There we go. He plays it instantly. And wherever the black king goes, it's going to be stuck in the center forever. And with all the heavy pieces on the board, with all the ammunition, the rooks, the queens, eventually this king will, it's just not going to survive. And, okay, interesting from Magnus. I was going to say just open up even more, just take this pawn, put a rook opposite the black king, and eventually you'll break through. But no, he wants to play for squares for his pieces. This is instructive. He just wants to break through on the light squares. He wants to get his knight to its dream f5 square. And the black king's already actually in a mating net. The black rooks can never connect. And Magnus, I think he's listening to music, but he's bobbing his head up and down, loving position, loving life right now.
And can we see the players' music list?
Be nice if we could see it, wouldn't it? Maybe future rounds. So
Let's ask the Miami people.
Yeah.
They've had a lot off their hands, technically, today on day one. So we'll give them a break on day 2. But on day 3, we'll ask them to give us the music list. That would be so cool.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Because I remember last time we could see the music list, and I remember that Liam Le, he was into classical music. He had a lot of Chopin. And I was thinking that was quite a smart choice.
Yeah.
Magnus had a lot of, like, pop hits.
Yeah, like 90s sing-along kind of songs.
It'd be cool if they've all got social media accounts that you can post your Spotify list on Twitter, can't you? If they all could post it so other people could listen to their...
Exactly.
That'd be quite a nice idea.
That's a good idea.
I'd like to hone in on the power of Magnus, you know, so you probably know his playlist, David, do you?
No, I mean, I know his taste quite well. I don't know the exact songs. I mean, I think he likes to be surprised himself as well. But how about you guys, if you could choose maybe 3 songs to get pumped to just before a game or during a game? What would be your 3 Desert Island discs?
I think a bit of Prodigy would be a good one. Bit of Firestarter, Twisted Firestarter. Maybe a bit of, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just pick one. That'll do. Firestarter's a good one. Yeah.
For me, I really like movie music. So I would have some Hans Zimmer, some time, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
the
quite
big ones,
Yeah,
the big
yeah,
moments.
exactly. Build them up.
Yeah.
And then they suddenly come to this big crescendo, and you feel like you're doing something special, don't you?
I like it, yeah, that's cool. All right, well, Magnus has been digging some music. Must be a little bit annoying for Anish Giri, because he can see Magnus from above his computer. And he knows Magnus is liking what he's looking at on the board. Any chances for Anish here?
Looking minimal at the moment. Black is trying his best to break through towards the white king, but if you look at attacking pieces, Black has no attackers around the white king. And, okay, Magnus doesn't even capture a pawn back. I was going to say as well, before this game, one thing I would love to see in the tour is a beauty prize, like the most brilliant game prize for each event, and Magnus is trying to achieve that now. Okay, a pawn was captured, the white queen swings across, and look at the white knights, look at the black king, the white bishop's beautiful, the white pawn on the e6 square. It's just, I mean, like you said earlier, Simon, you don't even need to calculate this type of position. Put your pieces on good squares, and the tactics will work in your favour no matter what. I don't really see a move for Black.
That's the other problem.
Disaster.
I mean, Black can't... OK, if you have to make a move like this, you're...
He's setting the pieces up ready for the next game.
Yeah.
Putting his bishop back on its starting square.
You still got to finish this position off, but, you know, there's...
Bring the rook into the d6 square, bring the other white rook across. I don't know.
So many tempting moves.
That looks great. I mean, just don't trade off queens. That's the only thing I would say. Learn from Firouzja's mistake against Pragnananda. Don't trade off queens. Not necessary.
Unless it wins immediately, which it's nearly close to doing, isn't it? You know?
Is it? Oh, no.
It's very, you know, with the rook coming in to d8.
Yeah, maybe we can show this.
It's, you know, I don't think it does, but it's very close.
Even if he
might do, I don't know.
Even if he breaks all the rules, swaps off the queens. I mean, you're attacking. Has he done that?
He's done it. The curse of the commentator comes. Just don't swap on queen, and he's done it. That was, but yeah, that was just unfortunate.
It's a killer.
Yeah.
The problem is Black has 2 pieces under attack. If you save the rook and continue defending your bishop, I mean, White can win in a few ways here. I think you can win with giving a check, but for example, even if you trade off here and then just plant your knight into its dream square, you're just going to push this pawn forward and it will become a queen. Again, Black is completely stuck. Black just cannot move. And there we go. Magnus plays the simple approach. He trades off, and this pawn is going to win the game. We'll see a result any moment. This pawn will step forward. You're actually threatening, for example, if black moves a pawn, you're threatening to give a check with your rook. And here,
David.
a fork. Sorry, I'm just being
Lovely.
flashy here. A fork. And the king moves. You make a new queen, and you checkmate shortly. We'll see Anish Giri resign right now. It's just complete domination. Magnus, he's up to his level the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Beautiful game.
Yeah, just masterclass this last one. In the opening, this is why we learn openings, just to get a position you understand well, put your pieces on good squares. Middle games, we come up with plans. Here, Magnus came up with this attacking plan. And then, yeah, just a bit of calculation, and that will finish it off. Anish is not even looking at his screen right now. He's ready to resign. He knows this last game has been a bit brutal.
Yeah.
Going to be interesting to hear from Magnus Carlsen. So in the first major, the Oslo Esports Cup, Magnus was struggling a lot with being sick. He was sick the first 5 days or something of that tournament, and he didn't win it. He was struggling with his form. We know he is out to win this tournament. And what a start to the day.